Hello, everyone, and many thanks for joining today's stream. Big community chat, traditional Sunday community chat. Although, of course, before we will get to chat, I will give you a new segment. There is a lot of news, important developments were happening. I had the day off yesterday, probably you noticed, and so there is quite a lot to talk about. Not just that freak show that took place in US, by the way, but much more important stuff is going on, and so I will go through all the news. Once again, thank you all for joining the stream. It is 26th of April, 3 p.m. Moscow time. We have winter back, kind of, dear friends, in a couple of days. Some 5 centimeters snow is expected here in Moscow, and if forecast is not mistaken, then I'll try to make some walk and talk videos in the snow in Moscow in middle of spring. As usual, if there is any donations, Sundays usually are kind of fundraising stream. If you find my previous week to be a good one in terms of work that I did, please. You can donate, of course. In that case, you can use Super Chat feature on Rumble. I'm streaming on both my channels simultaneously. You can use Super Chat feature on Rumble, of course, and there is PayPal, Boosty, and all the rest, by the way. It's in description box. Okay, that's been said. Let's go through some news now, and well, I'm gonna try to make it new segment itself. I'm gonna try to make it quicker. Unfortunately, one member of community left their Patreon yesterday, or like 10 hours ago approximately. That's what notification says. Well, maybe during this stream, some members of our community will decide to join Patreon or Boosty, by the way. Will be nicer, of course. And okay, let's go through some news. 203 drones were intercepted by Russian air defenses past night. It's a bit chaotic, by the way, right? My apologies for that. It's always like that, when I have day off, then it takes some time to get into rhythm of the work. So past night, there was a massive long-range drone attack on the Russian Federation by NATO and NATO proxy regime. 203 drones were intercepted over there. Belgorod, Bryansk, Vologda, Vladimir, Voronezh, Kaluga, Lipetsk, Novgorod, Rostov, Ryazan, Smolensk, Tambov, Tver, Yaroslav regions, Moscow region, Republic of Crimea, and over the Black Sea. Vast geography of these long-range NATO attacks on the Russian Federation. And as many of you, I myself also frustrated with these long-range attacks. I wonder how long we're going to tolerate this daily act of wars that NATO is committing against Russian Federation. As of now, you can see Russian militaries and Russian security services have not been green-lighted by Kremlin to retaliate on these NATO terrorist entities, right? Hopefully one day, but as time goes by, my hope is actually running out or running low. Yeah, we will see. Sevastopol was targeted big time. 71 drones were intercepted over the Sevastopol city, which is in Crimea, of course, and there were casualties. There were casualties among civilians. We have reported that as a result of this NATO strike on the Russian Federation, 3 civilians were killed and many wounded. Also, we have reported that 5 civilians were wounded as a result of this NATO attack on the Russian Federation in the Vologda region. And if 203 drones were intercepted during the night time, this morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., another 49 drones were intercepted by Russian air defenses. And God knows how many drones did manage to bypass air defense systems. During the day, probably we will receive some more updates on that. But unfortunately, there are casualties among civilians, which is a tragedy, of course. And yet again, as I said, man, I have no freaking idea how long we're gonna tolerate this stuff. Are we a nuclear superpower or are we banana republic? I mean, I have no freaking idea now. No more, really. Frustration is growing in country, in society, and I don't know if Kremlin pays any attention to these developments, but they should. They should for sure, because it's just too freaking bad, man. Act of war on act of war. And well, it's not just a drone attacks, not just a drone attacks. And when it comes to drones, by the way, you know, NATO or the NATO is involved so much so, and Western ruling class is involved so much so with impunity with which they are able to kill Russian people, Russian civilians included. They are so involved that they are using their own territory now for strikes, right? Whenever there is a strikes on the Leningrad region, you know, so many drones failed in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, in Finland, by the way. I mean, how those drones end up there? Because territories of these NATO member states were used to attack Russian Federation, and due to malfunction, some drones just happen to fail in those republics. And despite strong statements from Moscow about this NATO involvement in attacks on Russian Federation, as of now, no retaliation, no nothing. So yes, they are involved. Globalist controlled terrorist regimes all over the Europe are involved so much so that they are now not just launching drones from their territory to kill Russian people, but they are now also intercepting Russian drones on in air over the Kiev controlled territory, which is act of war too. They are targeting Russian military equipment, Russian drones. And for example, probably you already know that yesterday, when the Russian Federation conducted long-range retaliatory strikes, according to Romanian officials, that was the initial statement, British fighter jets shut down Russian drones. Direction of drones were raining portal city on the Danube, Odessa region, and the Romanian side stated that, British Typhoon fighter jets were deployed to intercept quite a number of Russian drones, and they did it. Although later on, British Defense Ministry rejected these claims of their Romanian colleagues, and they said there are no British fighter jets intercepted any Russian drones anywhere. But of course they did. Of course they did, by the way. And this is act of war. And well, we can now argue that NATO is beginning to introduce sort of a no-fly zone over the Odessa region, over the western parts of Ukraine. And yes, if Kremlin continues to exercise this restraint, well, I mean, you tell me what's going to be next. I mean, West is full-on war. I mean, West is killing Russian people day in, day out, right? West is committing acts of war on acts of war on acts of war. And I mean, you tell me what's going to be next, man. You tell me, because there is no reason to believe that Western elites suddenly will start acting a little more adequately, right? And seems like Kremlin is not willing, man. Is not willing to retaliate on NATO member states. I don't know what they have on Putin, man. I'm now questioning that Putin himself, because maybe he's being blackmailed or something. Why he is not greenlighting Russian militaries and Russian security services to take action, and why he is not doing what he should do as a president of Russian Federation? I don't know. Very strange situation, and I'm 100% convinced that history not going to be kind to Putin, man. History not going to be kind to Putin for what he did and what he did not do, right? And well, it's only a matter of days now. Either we have to retaliate on NATO member states that are directly engaged in this war against Russian Federation and in mass killing of the Russian citizens. Either we will retaliate now, in upcoming days, maximum couple of weeks, or some unexpected processes might take place. right? That would not end good or well for anybody, really. I will argue, right? So yes, by the way, NATO is beginning to implement a no-fly zone now over the Odessa region and Western Ukraine. We've been treated like a banana republic, man, and all this because of the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. So if anybody here in Russia is not happy with this situation, they should say thank to Putin, right? How much is his approval rating? 70% according to this dodgy social studies. 80%? Really? Then we deserve this, man. Then we did not deserve better, I guess. Right? That's my take on that. We've been treated as a freaking banana republic, and this is I don't know, man. This is humiliation beyond anything, man. Humiliation beyond any. I don't have words to characterize how humiliating this stuff is, man. Right? Hopefully, Putin will resign today, man. Enough humiliation for this country. Hopefully, he will freaking resign and go and live his freaking life in peace, right? Whatever he has left. Because enough is freaking enough, man. Anyways, that's my take on all this situation. Tomorrow, I would not be surprised at all if NATO will launch a direct bombing campaign against Russia with even nuclear weapons, man. Because it seems like we have a leadership that has no guts to take necessary actions, right? It is what it is. RT is reporting that, well, even though EU formally allocated 90 billion euro loan for Kyiv regime to prolong this war against Russia and kill more Russian people in 2026, 2027, reports are that this money not going to be enough, which is not really surprising. I was saying when NATO or when EU and EU in NATO is the same stuff now, isn't it? Basically, EU is an extremely militarized terrorist organization, as it is NATO. And so when these Brussels degenerates come up with this idea of 90 billion, already there were reports that they will have to find another 60 billion on top of this 90, right? To finance next 2 years for the war against Russia, 2026, 2027. And already reports are that EU requires another 90 billion. Already, by the way, this 90 billion was allocated like a few days ago, right? Past week. That's why final decision was made. And EU regime is already asking for 90 billion euro on top of this 90. And reports are that our Brussels bureaucrats are negotiating with Japan for a credit for a Kyiv regime for a prolongation of this war. And they are asking for 40 to 50 billion dollars for a Kyiv regime. And they might get it. They might get it because Japan is a politically captured entity, of course. And if they are told to allocate 40, 50 billion, probably they will. And it's not just European, these terrorist entities, but also former Soviet Union republics that are directly or indirectly assisting globalists in their war against Russian Federation, and Azerbaijan is definitely one of the such instances. Zelensky was in Azerbaijan just like this Friday, I believe, and the reports are, and I saw this report on RT, for example. Reports are that Azerbaijan and Ukraine joint weapons production. They come up with their agreements for joint weapons production, which is obviously step towards further escalation from Azerbaijani side towards Moscow. And why would not they? Why would not Aliyev's regime escalate with Moscow when they see that Moscow is doing nothing? I mean, you can do anything you want to Russia nowadays, right? Anything. You can kill Russian citizens. You can destroy Russian infrastructure. You can do literally anything you want. And you will pay no price for that. And so, of course, all these terrorist elements are emboldened, including this terrorist regime in Azerbaijan, right? And they are acting tough against Russia, man, which is, yet again, man, I mean, this is beyond humiliation, what is going on, right? This is beyond humiliation. My personal take, by the way, I mean, if Putin has any dignity, he should resign, man. He should resign because age has taken a toll on him, I guess, right? When he was a little younger, I mean, he was acting differently. I don't know. People remember different Putin, but now what we see is God knows, man. God knows what's up, right? And yet again, if we don't retaliate in next several days, next maximum several weeks on NATO countries that are directly engaged in this war against Russia, we're going to end up in a much bigger trouble that we are already. Because you see level of escalation from the NATO, right, from the collective West, it's increasing. Now they began implementing no-fly zone, basically, right? What's going to be next? Probably they will openly deploy their troops first in the Western Ukraine, in Odessa region. Then why not? Who's going to stop them, really? Who's going to stop them, right? And at some point, I don't know, man. Maybe Putin will get engaged in some negotiations, Minsk 3, Minsk 4. Maybe he will agree to withdraw Russian forces from all new Russian regions also, right? Not just from Sumy, Kharkov region, or maybe Putin will agree to withdraw Russian forces from DPR, LPR, Kherson, Zaporozhye. Would not be surprised. At this point, I would not be surprised. Honestly, man. That's how little trust I have in Putin. I don't have any trust in Putin, really. That's how it is, man. And I think I'm not alone, man. There is a tremendous number of people that are freaking, not just frustrated, but it's beyond that already, man. I don't even want to talk about this. Meanwhile, well, Russian troops, even though their hands being tied behind their back, by the way, they are doing whatever they can in current circumstances, right? They've been trained to conduct war against NATO countries, right? They are trained to use whatever means are necessary to use, right, to win the war. And the hands of Russian military is being tied there by Russian President Putin, not just Russian military, but security services. And I mean, it's sort of a miracle that Russian military still are managing to advance on the line of contact in such a circumstances. And they are advancing. And we have this report that Russian armed forces took control over their Bochkovo settlement in the Kharkov region. Okay, yet again, it's a miracle, man. Every time I hear, man, there are more settlements being liberated, I think, how, man? How? Level of character of Russian militaries, by the way, that they are still moving forward, attacking, doing their tasks, right? It's crazy, man, how capable Russian militaries are, man. Right? Well done. But I mean, this advance is coming with a higher cost. These advances are come with a higher cost that could be avoided if Russian President Vladimir Putin did not exercise this freaking restraint from 4 years now, 4+ years, right? We should make it clear from the very first minute of the special military operation that if any NATO member state or any other country in this world will send a single bullet to these terrorists and mass murderers in Kiev, that country will be transformed into a radioactive desert. We should make it clear from the very freaking first minute of the special military operation. We did not. Strong statements were made, but we never act actually on these statements, and therefore now we are where we are. Right? Okay, let's continue. There was exchange of POWs on Friday. 193 Russian servicemen were freed, and in exchange, 193 servicemen of this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky was freed. Also, TASS News Agency is reporting that Marochko, military expert from LPR, Marochko is saying that Ukrainian armed forces are beginning to leave Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. This information is coming from TASS News Agency, so I know what this is a state-run media. Let's take this report with a pinch of salt, because I don't know, man. I don't know about Kiev regime's forces leaving Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, but that's what her reports are. That units of Ukrainian armed forces are gradually beginning to leave Slavyansk and Kramatorsk in the Donetsk People's Republic, as the Ukrainian command understands their fate of these settlements. Military expert Andrei Marochko told at us, and well, this is that's exactly the instance when I have serious doubts about this information being correct one. But that's what media reports, dear friends. So I'm sharing the information. Let's take this information with a pinch of salt. Maybe there was some rotation or something, but Kiev regime is not withdrawing its forces even from Kupiansk area, where Kiev regime's forces literally are starving. And in my previous update, I showed you the pictures, right? Remember, I showed you pictures of Kiev regime soldiers that they themselves published on social media, and it's a scandal now in Kiev controlled territory, and number of generals were sacked and stuff, right? So Kiev regime is not withdrawing forces, is starved militaries even from Kupiansk area. So why would they withdraw forces from Slavyansk and Kramatorsk when Russian troops are at least 10, 12 kilometers away from the cities? And this is well prepared defense line of the Kiev regime, prepared since 2014. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe this is a COP mode, right? Maybe Kremlin is transforming. Maybe Kremlin issued their order to state finance media to go for a full COP mode, right? And BS the people with this kind of freaking nonsense, right? The Kiev regime's forces withdrawing from Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. Really? Okay. We trust you. Of course we do. How else? Unbelievable, man. Also on Friday, Central Bank of the Russian Federation cut interest rate by 0.5% from 15 to 14.5 now, which is also a tremendously high number, and economy will not feel it whatsoever. Nothing will happen, absolutely nothing. More and more economists, as far as I can tell from articles that I read, are becoming extremely frustrated with the Central Bank of the Russian Federation, because it seems like this pursuit of cooling down economy is transforming into some fixation, and the Russian economy is being, I don't know, man. We're gonna end up, I'm quite sure this year we're gonna end up in a recession. In this pursuit to cool down economy, what central bank and economical bloc did is they starved economy from oxygen, really, from fuel, with including with high interest, tremendously high interest rates, and as a result, we're gonna end up in a freaking recession this year. I'm quite sure about it. First couple of months was a recession, by the way. First couple of months of this year, we already are in a recession. Anyways, meanwhile, these are extremely emboldened globalists and globalist puppet regimes all over the Europe, even in Estonia, by the way, are so I don't know, emboldened. And what else can I say? What word, man? They are so wild now, right? Because they see, man, no matter what they do against Russia, no matter how many Russian citizens they kill, Putin is not authorizing Russian militaries and Russian security services to retaliate. So they are going wild, man. And even Estonia, this freaking Chihuahua non-entity, right, is escalating with Russia, acting tougher. Estonia is providing airspace, probably their ground too, for strikes on Russian territory. And now they have this initiative. Estonian Prime Minister come up with initiative to impose tariffs on all Russian exports to EU, and then use these tariffs to finance this proxy war against Russian Federation. Estonian Prime Minister Kristen Michal has called for tariffs on Russian goods to finance Ukraine's reconstruction, political reports. And yes, I mean, I don't know what we sell to Europe. I have no freaking idea why we sell anything to Europe, right, to hostile countries. But we do. I mean, energy, whenever Europeans want to buy energy, Kremlin has no issue selling this energy to them, right? Well, moralities of this approach, I mean, you tell me how moral that is, right? When you are providing energy to your enemy, to countries that are killing your citizens, actually killing your citizens. But that's what we do, man, right? We are supplying energy to our enemies, and they are then using this energy to produce more weapons that are then used to kill Russian citizens. I mean, this is insane, but that's where we are, right? And yeah, now even Estonia is so wild that they want to impose tariffs. Okay, man. Also, probably we will impose. I mean, Medvedev, former Russian president and current deputy chairman. I mean, he makes a lot of statements, by the way. He said that maybe we should impose tariffs or something on energy exports to Europe, something like that. Why we are selling energy to Europe in the first place, man? Why? But anyways, man. Also, Donald Tusk, another extreme Russophobe, Russia hater in Europe, Polish prime minister. Once this 90 billion euro was allocated for Kiev regime to prolong this proxy war, and once 20 package of sanctions were introduced, he wrote on his social platform, European Council meeting, for the first time in years, there are no Russians in the room. Huge relief, he wrote, and he was, of course, taking shot at Orban's government, towards the Orban. And Kirill Dmitriev, aide of Russian president, commented on that. See you in 2 months as you come to Russia to beg for energy. Please save enough jet fuel for their flight. Okay, I can see irony there. I mean, okay, I can see irony. Many people liked Kirill Dmitriev's response, but well, I don't know, man. I don't know. After we tolerate basically everything that NATO did to us, after we tolerate everything in so many years, these kind of statements makes no sense, man. And I'm afraid we are in a situation now when we honestly are not being taken seriously. Probably first time in a long time, Russia is not being taken seriously by anybody in this world I'm talking about. Which is sad state, man. Which is sad place to be, right? We not being taken seriously, man. And probably whole world is asking what the hell is going on? What Western ruling class has on Putin? Are they blackmailing Putin or what's going on, man? I myself have no freaking idea. I don't know. Do you know, dear friends, what's up? What's going on? Because I don't, man. And I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, and but probably at this point it will be better if Russian officials would not make any freaking statements whatsoever, because the whole world is laughing at us. Whole freaking world is laughing at us, man. We become a laughing stock, and this is painful, man. This is freaking painful. And people are dying, man. The longer we exercise this restraint, more and more people are dying. Just this morning, there was 3 people that were killed in a NATO drone attack in LPR. Who is responsible for death of these civilians? 5 civilians, at least 5 civilians were injured in Vologda region. Who is responsible for that? Not me, though, right? Am I responsible for this? Or Russian president is responsible for this? Who is responsible for citizens of Russian Federation and their safety? Who? You know, the loss of Russian defense minister is in DPRK in North Korea, by the way. Head of Russian parliament was, and maybe still is, in North Korea, right? And defense minister went there. Okay, there are a lot of visits, a last couple of years from Russia to North Korea, and there I don't know, probably there is some combined military production there and stuff like that. But yet again, man, you might have all the weapons you need, right? You might have all the weapons, you might have everything, but if you have no green light from political leadership to do whatever is necessary, right? Then what good is having those weapons and stuff, man? What is that, right? Anyways, man. Oh, and now this freaking circus in US. Yesterday by our time, it was yesterday. In US, it's maybe today still. So there was this annual meeting when White House is gathering all these freaking nobodies, right? A so-called presidential pool and the rest of the garbage, right? Some despicable people there, and there was some show. Some psycho went in, opened fire, or try at least, right? Lot of noise. Yet another freak show, by the way. Yet another freak show. Nothing serious, nothing interesting. That's my take on this bullshit, right? Trump spoke after the shooting incident at the event. Let me give you what he says if you are interested. US President Donald Trump admitted that he could have been the main target of the shooter at the event he attended. I watched what was happening. I probably should have left even faster. It's kind of beautiful to see a guy rushing into a checkpoint with multiple weapons and being neutralized by some very brave Secret Service officers. Crazy, man. I don't want to waste time on this shit, right? This one is a guy who allegedly went in and opened fire. Thomas Allen, 31-year-old teacher from the Torrance, California. False flag operation, right? Yet another false flag operation. Trump's rating is below, right? Niže plintusa, as one say goes. And this war with Iran is unpopular. They need to shift their attention of public towards whatever, right? And because of these so-called assassination attempts on Trump, give him some additional points, some additional ratings in the past. Probably these idiots thought that this time around will be the same, but honestly, does anybody give a fuck if this gunman went in and eliminate Trump and all the other fucking animals there? I would not care, man. Honestly, I don't give a fuck, man. Right? And I'm quite sure 90% of this world honestly does not give a damn about this. Right? This is a false flag operation, BS, nonsensical stuff, right? Everything in regards to US is fake. Literally everything is freaking fake, right? And I don't take US seriously. Never did, actually, right? US is a tool in hands of Western ruling class, globalists, neocons, Zionists. It's just a tool, like hammer. That's what US is. Maybe American citizens think they live in a country. In reality, they live in a territory, right? Which is serves as a hammer in hands of third parties. That's all it is, right? US is not a state, right? It's a shithole, period. That's it. Shithole that is used as a weapon by third parties. So I don't really give a damn if Trump and all the other motherfuckers are being killed there in US from Trump's administration. And there, as I said, man, there was gathering of freaking animals, right? There was not a single decent human being in that gathering, man. Not a single decent human being, period. Iran, when it comes to Iran stuff, Abbas Araghchi, and sorry for my French, dear friends, but I'm really, really sick and tired of this nonsense that is happening in this world. Don't you feel like Matrix is going crazy, really? So much stuff is happening that is extremely fake, extremely nonsensical, extremely crazy, that I mean, I truly have like feeling that I don't know, man. Either some massive showdown gonna happen, or I don't know, this freaking matrix gonna break down, man. Because nothing is real, seems like no more, right? Nothing is freaking real in this freaking world. But you know, Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi went to Islamabad day before yesterday, right? And the Western propaganda began pushing this yet another false narrative, because there is nothing real about Western world. So they only all they can is push some false narratives. They push another false narrative that Abbas Araghchi went into Pakistan, and now they are begging Iranian side is begging Americans to negotiate and all that kind of bullshit, right? Trump even went to say that he ordered Witkoff and Kushner not to go to Islamabad and not waste 18 hours of their time on this flight. And you know what is interesting? Abbas Araghchi did not went into Pakistan to have freaking talks with these nobodies, Witkoff and Kushner. Who the fuck are these bitches, man? No one's, right? Nobody's. Abbas Araghchi is a foreign minister of Iran. Who the fuck is Witkoff or the Kushner? Fucking prostitutes, man. That's all they are, man. Nobody's, right? So fuck him all, man. Why would Araghchi speak to this filth face to face? Only reason why first round of talks happened because J.D. Vance went into Islamabad, vice president of US. He at least has a status, right? He's a vice president of US. That's why Galibaf and Araghchi had a conversation then. Or maybe they didn't talk face to face, but they had their like negotiations, right? But why would Abbas Araghchi waste his time talking to this filth, Witkoff and Kushner, honestly? But you know what US does, isn't it? US leadership, they have to brag about, they have to come up with some freaking nonsense. Okay, fuck him all. And Trump then went to say that he received new offer from Iran, which is another nonsense, right? Some bullshit. US president said that the Iranian side sent White House updated terms for the settling the nuclear issue just 10 minutes after the abrupt cancellation of the visit of American diplomats. Okay, man, I mean, I feel sorry for anybody who takes seriously anything that says Trump, man, right? Or the US administration. RIA Novosti is also reporting that Pezeshkian, president of Iran, said that Iran will not participate in negotiations under their pressure. So that's where they are, by the way. There is no new terms, no freaking nothing. Iran already gave 10-point proposal to US terms on which this conflict can end right now. And that's about it. That's it, man. There is nothing else to discuss there. Nothing. And Iran understands perfectly well that Trump is freaking prostitute, right? He's just a filth, nothing. Iranian leadership understands that it's globalists and neocons that are making decisions, and they are using Zionists because Zionists have Trump on a hook, right? Zionists compromised Trump, so they are using Zionists, right, to move Trump around any way they want, right? If globalists want, they can tell Zionists, you know what, tell your bitch there to kneel, right? To kneel on air and kiss boots of the British ambassador, and Trump will do it. That's the level of that's the dynamics between them right there. So globalists, neocons, they're not going to stop this war. Obviously, we understand this. And US militaries, I mean, Pentagon, bragged about deployment of 3 aircraft carriers simultaneously, first time since 2003. Is if there anything to brag about? Because this formerly most powerful navy in the world, barely capable of to come up with the 3 freaking aircraft carriers, from which one is in such a bad shape, by the way. I'm talking about Ford. In such a bad shape that, I mean, it's a freaking laughing stock, right? Whenever this aircraft carrier is mentioned, everybody is probably imagining the scenery when U.S. sailors are drowning into freaking human feces. That's how bad this aircraft carrier is, and this is not just an anecdote, by the way. People were actually almost drowned into freaking human feces because there was a issue with their sewage system on aircraft carrier, right? Some say sailors sabotaged the carrier. Could be true, could be not. I don't know, right? But first there was this issue with the shit. Then there was a fire on the board of the aircraft carrier, right? And 600 sailors had to sleep on the floor and stuff like that. Then, by the way, I mean, issue with the logistics when sailors and the staff, air wing staff, is eating some dog shit on a carrier, right? More images emerge about ration of their U.S. militaries on their USS Abraham Lincoln, for example. On Gerald Ford, probably people are just freaking starving, literally. On Abraham Lincoln, you can see right now on your screen what is the ration. That's it, man. That's what's happening there. Do I have to comment anything? This shithole that pretends to be world's dominant power cannot provide freaking food to its militaries. End of story. Iran war complicates contingency plans to defend Taiwan, reports Wall Street Journal, due to excess use of long-range weaponry and stuff. And I mean, U.S. was never in a position to defend Taiwan. Let's be real here. U.S. cannot defend even itself, right? U.S. is a paper tiger. If anybody has any doubts about it, then, okay, man, I have breach to sell you. But U.S. is a freaking paper tiger, barely capable of, not even capable, man, barely capable of providing some protection to Israel, right, and absolutely incapable to provide any security to the GCC countries that suffered significantly and continue to suffer significantly due to actions, terrorist criminal actions of the U.S., right? So when it comes to Taiwan, by the way, let's be real, when China can go there tomorrow and take over their island if they want to, and the U.S. gonna do nothing because they can do nothing, literally. Don't believe in this Hollywood bullshit, by the way, that U.S. is superpower and Navy, and only reason why U.S. can be seen as a sort of a power because nuclear weapons. Because of the nuclear weapons. Other than that, U.S. is a paper tiger. Period. U.S. militaries, U.S. ground forces are a joke, man. Right? Should I remind anybody what Taliban did to U.S. militaries? Only reason why Taiwan have not been reunited with mainland China, as of now at least, is because of the policies of China, right? Chinese leadership. They don't want to use force, man. They want to achieve this politically. That's their main goal. It's a Western faking propaganda that Beijing plans to occupy island and do this and do that. Who's gonna stop them if they want to? They can go ahead and establish military control over the Taiwan like today, literally today, and no one gonna stop them. But they had their political decision that they have to reunite with Taiwan in the same way they did with their Hong Kong. It took decades, but eventually they reunite with their Hong Kong, right? And they will do the same with Taiwan. Only reason why China might use force is if US will push Taiwan to provoke confrontation. That's the only way how China might launch a military operation. If Taiwan uses force first, under the orders of the Washington. But other than that, Chinese are good, man, right? They can wait. They have all the time they need. Like another decade, another 2 decades. Eventually, Taiwan gonna join China. Everyone knows that, right? It is what it is. Just like a few weeks ago, leading figure of Taiwanese opposition went to China. They had a good meeting there, as far as I can tell, based on articles that I see, read, right? They had a good meetings in China. This delegation, led by opposition, this leading opposition figure. There was a meeting between Xi Jinping and this Taiwanese woman. I can't remember her name now, but she's a leading opposition figure about it. And yes, Beijing is doing stuff cleverly, man. Why would they go for a war? There's no need for that. But either way, Wall Street Journal should be honest to its readers and says that in no circumstances ever U.S. going to be able to defend Taiwan if it's come to war. They barely can come up with the freaking 3 aircraft carriers, from which one is constantly experiencing some freaking trouble, and people are drowning into human feces, and another one cannot provide its stuff with the freaking food. And the third one, H.W. Bush, just joined these two, and we will see soon what that George Bush is capable of. Right? It's gonna be same freaking garbage as a Lincoln and Ford, right? Why should anyone expect anything else, man? The level of deterioration of the military culture in U.S., actual readiness training, level of deterioration of logistics in the U.S. is absolutely tremendous. And by the way, wars are won by logistics. Many people might think that wars are won by these tough guys that are with rifles entering the battlefield and they are like Rambos. No, man, wars are won by logistics. Because you might be as tough as hell, but if you have no supplies, if logistics are not giving you backup that you need, you're not gonna achieve success, man. It's not happening, right? Logistics are winning the wars. And you can see, by the way, when it comes to logistics, that's the logistics level in US. What is this, man? Some freaking, I don't know, man, piece of shit, right? That is given to sailors. It's fucked up, man. You know. And also interesting stuff. You might be surprised to hear that Iran's F-5 jets, US-made jets, by the way, all the ones, these jets were produced in 60s, right? First generation of F-5s were produced in 60s, lightweight fighter jet. And F-5s become famous, more or less famous, in by that movie, by the way, Top Gun, right? I remember that scenery when this Maverick and Goose, who was his partner there in plane. Anyways, remember the scenery in that first Top Gun when Maverick on F-14 takes picture allegedly of MiG-28. Never existed. There is no such a thing as a MiG-28. F-5s were used in that scenery. F-5s should act as those imaginary MiG-28s, right? And that's how this plane probably become most famous, F-5s. And so yes, Iran had quite a number of F-5s, and surprisingly for many, I guess, but they were able to infiltrate Kuwaiti airspace and carry out bombing attacks on U.S. bases there. Air defenses did not really react in any way, shape, or form. It was a clean operation on behalf of Iranian F-5s. So well done to guys, man. Well done. I wonder how they are managing to keep this old airframe, old planes basically operational, but they do, and NBC even acknowledged that Iran's F-5 jets bombed U.S. base in Kuwait early in the war. Good, good, by the way. And when it comes to fighter jet topic, UK received their final batch of its F-35s. Lockheed Martin transferred their last three F-35B fighter jets out of 48 that was ordered by UK, and okay, they have now supposed to have 48 of these planes, and soon we might see them in a war against Iran, because you know what my take is. The only way Western ruling class can keep this region isolated from the rest of the world, Middle East, that is to continue escalation. And there is only several ways they can continue escalation. One is European NATO member states to be dragged into that war. Another is, of course, large-scale invasion of US and other European NATO member states into Iran, which will take a lot of time, of course, to prepare. And I'm not quite sure NATO is capable of such a operation now. And third is nuclear weapons. All options probably are on the table whenever Western ruling class is discussing this stuff. But yeah, we will see. We will see. So UK got its F-35Bs. Okay. Trump probably, or rumors are, according to Political, that Trump might fire FBI Director Kash Patel. Allegedly, it's only a matter of time, and their main reason is negative coverage around Patel. Of course, coverage is truly negative because this guy is a scumbag, right? This guy is a scumbag, literally. His deputy, John Bongino, another scumbag. Entire administration. This is probably first time US has administration when literally everybody is a freaking scumbag. There is not a single decent human being in US administration. I mean, of course, Biden's administration was also messed up, man. But I don't know, maybe if you tried, you might find some people that might have some decency, I mean, little bit at least, right? But Trump's administration, no, man. There was a one, Joe Kent, right? Joe Kent, man. Only one that had some principles, some decency, some dignity. You might agree or disagree with his takes, but at least that guy has principles, and he said, you know what, I don't want to be part of this shit, right? And he resigned. He knew they're gonna go after him, right? And they did. And they will continue assault on him. Character assassination is going on. Maybe they will try to actually kill him too, literally. Who knows? But when it comes to rest, total scumbags, man. And this Kash Patel is a joke, man. What a joke this one is, man. Right? He and Bongino went into FBI with promises that, well, they're going to release all Epstein files and they know everyone going to be punished and all that stuff. And they become a freaking first line of defense of Epstein class. So disgusting, man. So disgusting. There was a terrorist assault on Mali, on the major cities in Mali. Terrorist offensive that was orchestrated by French secret services, French militaries, obviously. And well, for now, we have reports that governmental forces are regaining their control of the situation after initial chaos that spread there all over the Mali. Although there was significant casualties among government forces too. Reports are that even Malian defense minister Sado Kamara was allegedly yet again killed As a result of car bomb explosion, information is not officially confirmed, but yes, there are also reports that these terrorist forces established control over the Kidal city in the northern side of Mali, and there was Wagnerites, by the way, there Wagnerite forces alongside Malian forces, and they were forced to withdraw. They were forced to withdraw from this area. So I guess this assault was quite a large scale. Assault of the terrorists was quite a large scale and more or less well organized by, well prepared by French special forces, French secret services, and the militaries. Yet again, most of the major cities are still controlled by Malian forces, Russian militaries, and Wagnerites. There are also Russian official military presence in Mali, by the way. It's not just Wagner forces. So most of the cities, especially in southern part of the country, are under government control, but the situation is fragile, very risky, and to be honest, I have no freaking idea what we are doing in Mali. I mean, if people there want to fight each other and kill each other, then okay, it's that's what they want to. Fuck them all, right? Really, why we are there? What we lost in Mali, man. I mean, honestly, you might say, well, there is geopolitical this and geopolitical that, and Russia is pushing French out of the Africa, helping locals. Okay, man. Okay, but let the locals fight French without our assistance. Can that be done? Or let's give them weapons and whatever. But why Russian militaries are risking their lives there, and why Wagnerites are? Wagnerites, it's a private military company. Okay, I mean it's their choice, right? They sign up contract. They are, in private military company. That's a different story. But why Russian regular troops are there? I have no freaking idea, man. Really. Hopefully there will be no casualties among Russian military personnel, and hopefully there will be no casualties among Wagnerites too. It's a private military company, but nevertheless, mostly it's Russian citizens. So of course, I wish them luck. But yeah, situation is tense, and France is trying to kind of strike back on these countries in Africa, in West Africa, Central Africa, on the countries that are trying to actually become free, right, from colonizers. And when it comes to colonizers, France was one of the big one there, right? And when it comes to terrorism, there was a car bomb explosion near the police station in Northern Ireland, which is quite interesting. I did not see much of the details about this report, but I mean, if Irish Republican Army or new Irish Republican Army or whatever they call now, if they're gonna resume a struggle for independence of not independence of Northern Ireland, but to reunite with their Ireland itself, of course, good luck to them. By the way, good luck. Any issues for UK? By the way, I welcome anybody that harms UK. I'm good with that. UK is enemy of Russia, so therefore, enemy of my enemy is my friend, kind of. Maybe not always, but sometimes, right? And so, good luck to Irish Republican Army. Let them kill as many British militaries as they possibly can, man. And that is that, right? No mercy towards enemies, man. UK is Russian enemy, so let's see. Maybe this is just one of instance. Maybe this just even accident. Who knows, man? But it was a car bomb, according to reports. But I don't know. Maybe gas balloon was in a car and detonated, and people were thinking it's a car bomb or stuff. I don't know, but you know, anyone that creates trouble for UK is more than welcome, right? Because yet again, enemy of my enemies can be my friend, situational ally, let's say, right? Not friend necessarily, but can be situational ally. And well, it is unfortunate that not I am head of GRU or FSB or whatever the other secret services we have, because if I was the leader there, then whole UK will be on fire already. I would make sure that all the disenfranchised groups, all of them, right, all over the UK, have a lot of weapons, a lot of means to take on government, right? I would help them with everything, right? Because that's what one should do against enemy. And because UK is leading, it's not just an enemy, by the way, any ordinary enemy. No, man, UK is leading charge in this proxy war against Russia. So UK has to be punished big time, by the way, right? And yeah, with all my sympathies to the people, I lived there, by the way, and I have no issues with the people, man, never had, right? But their government is acting not as a private citizens, but as a leadership of UK, right? So they transform UK into our enemy. So what choice do I have, or do we have? We have to treat UK as such, as enemy. And we have to retaliate, man. I don't know how long Putin gonna exercise this freaking restraint, but I don't know. Maybe he will resign today, and we will have a new leadership, which will take a little different approach, right? Of course, he's not gonna resign, but we know that. Probably he will die as a Russian president. I don't know. Would not be surprised at all if he will stay in the power as during the Soviet Union. You know, there was people that were staying in the power until they were freaking dead, like Brezhnev. I mean, he did. Brezhnev resigned. He died as a head of state, isn't it? Do I remember correctly? So, anyways, Russia to accept zero tariffs with Indonesia in a trade. The Eurasian Economic Union will have a free trade area with Indonesia, which is supposed to increase the mutual trade turnover. Okay, I mean, when something is good, man. I'm always happy to acknowledge some positive stuff, and this is good news there. Indonesia is a massive market, fastly growing market, fastly developing economy. It's a 300 million plus country, by the way, right? So there is a tremendous potential for trade and business, and so this is great. This is great news there. Trump said Putin's presence at the G20 summit would be very beneficial. A couple of days ago, he was asked about it, and he says that, yeah, he will invite Putin. I don't think we really need his invitation. G20, Russia is a member of the G20 since creation of G20, right? And so whenever there is a summit, Russia is always there. And will Russian president himself go in US or not? That's a different story. I don't know. Maybe he will. Maybe he will actually. After all, he went to Alaska, isn't it? I was saying at the time that was a waste of time. Then at some point, hope is a strange thing, isn't it? We all have a hope, isn't it? That hopefully maybe this will work out. And at some point, despite my skepticism, I become a little more hopeful that maybe this visit in encouragement, maybe this will do something positive, right? And that hope lasted for, I don't know, man, a week maybe. And that's it. Man. And yeah, it was a waste of time. And to nowadays, I mean, you might laugh, dear friends, but to nowadays, every now and then, some officials are saying encourage spirit. there is some encouraged spirit and some agreements there, is if those officials don't understand that there is no faking encouraged spirit, and there are none of the agreements, verbal agreements that were reached by Trump and Putin have any meaning. I don't know why Russian officials are struggling to understand that none of the verbal freaking agreements that was reached in Anchorage have any actual meaning. To nowadays, you might hear, well, I mean, Russia-U.S. relationship's gonna go into this Anchorage spirit way, and what Anchorage spirit, man? What are you talking about? Trump don't even remembers that he had a meeting with Putin in Alaska. It's crazy, man. Well, right now we have reports that another 14 drones were intercepted by Russian air defenses. So this massive attack on the Russian Federation by NATO continues, and it is NATO, by the way. That's why I'm saying so. This kind of attacks, long-range attacks on Russian Federation, could not be done without direct NATO involvement. Remember, dear friends, about 10 days ago, NATO and Kiev regime struck Tuapse, energy infrastructure in Tuapse, and unfortunately there was a spill of oil spill as a result of it, and 2,500 cubic meters of soil contaminated with oil products were removed in Tuapse, and their work continues. It was an ecological disaster, and I wonder if any Western thinking media, so-called media, or if any Western so-called environmentalists will raise the questions about these attacks on energy infrastructure. Would they even mention this? Of course they wouldn't, right? Because they all are fake. Western world is a fake. It's a fake, by the way. Everything is fake there. Everything, right? Not the people, though. But when it comes to state institutions, NGOs, media, everything is fake, man. That's how it is. That's what Western world is. Japan received the first oil shipment from US since the beginning of war in Iran. Kyodo News reported there one tanker with a half of a day, not even 1 day's supply, but half of a day. One tanker with a half of a day's worth of oil from for domestic consumption reached Japan, and it took 35 days for this vessel to get to Japan. Okay, I mean, why this vessel moved through Panama Channel? I don't know. Maybe because all this energy infrastructure in US is mostly in the Gulf of Mexico, isn't it? And therefore, obviously, tanker had to first go into freaking Caribbean, then reach Panama, go through Panama Channel, and then reach Pacific and cross inter-Pacific to get to Japan. So 35 days, quite a lot. And yeah, good luck to Japan, man, with this new supplier of oil from from North America. Good luck. And also, I think this is interesting that yet another famous UFO researcher died. So David Wilcock, self-styled American UFO researcher and prominent paranormal content creator and author, has been found dead in what has been ruled as a suicide And yes, man, something really dodgy is going on there, isn't it? What you think about it, difference? I mean, there is a, and this is happening. This incident happened days after U.S. President Donald Trump ordered an investigation into string of mysterious death and disappearances of nearly dozen American scientists starting 2023. The researchers had access to some of their nation's most classified guarded nuclear and space secrets, and of course there is a lot of rumors, by the way, that these people had some knowledge about UFO and aliens and stuff like that. I don't think any of it is true, by the way. Probably these people had some access to classify their military program, right? And some of them probably were engaged in a deception operation, right, to divert public's attention towards this topic of aliens and stuff, right? I believe there are aliens, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just believe. I'm 100% convinced that in this freaking universe, there must be thousands of civilizations, right, of different level of development by Kardashev scale. But so I'm not an alien skeptic. I'm 100% convinced there is a lot of different life forms, intellectual life forms too, in this universe, and probably in parallel universes also. And there is high probability based on modern physics that there actually are parallel universes, right? But when it comes to this time, when it comes to this day, whenever there is talks about freaking aliens, man, it's always some dodgy stuff. It's always, I think, attempt of governments to mislead the people, right? Whenever there is some military programs, some classified programs, they just want attention of public to be pushed towards certain directions, and this group of people that are dying and disappearing, maybe this person himself also, probably they were engaged in such a operation, right? They had some access, they were engaged in deception, and now CIA or some other institution in US just neutralized them, right? That's all. I don't believe they knew anything about aliens, actually. I don't think anybody on this planet knows anything about aliens, and I don't think aliens have any real reason, any serious reason to really care about our planet, because the level of our development as a civilization is so low compared to, let's say, civilization that achieved interstellar travel, that there is no point to freaking pay any attention to us right now. Once we will develop interstellar travel, then maybe, right? But now, for those aliens that have this interstellar, possibly even intergalactic travel technology, which will require, of course, faster than light travel, which is only possible with this Alcubierre drive engine, and with some theoretical some stuff, right? But in theory, it's possible. So for those civilizations that are on that level, man, for them we will look like ants are for us, just primitive life form with some socialization and stuff, like ants do, man. Ants are very socialized animals too, right? And we are social animals too, and that is that. For first, even for first, maybe not for first, by Kardashev scale, first type of civilization may not be that impressive, but we are not even close to that first type. But second type is interesting. And second type of civilization probably will be able on interstellar travel. And so for second type of civilization, we definitely will be no any more interesting than ants are for us, really. So what you think about all this story, by the way? It's clearly all about some classified military programs, right? I think some people had some access, then those people were participating in a deception, and to make sure that all the necessary information gonna be kept secret. CIA is just going around and killing them now. That's what I think. CIA or US military intelligence or something like that, whichever. But it's definitely not linked to freaking aliens, man. Okay, that was it for a new segment, dear friends. So that was it for a new segment. I will go now through chat. If I see any questions, I see. If not, then that's about it for today's live stream. And there was a super not super chat, but donation on a boosted, dear friends. Let me highlight that right now. There was a donation from Alexander G. Let me highlight this, dear friends. Anno did not drop screenshot, so there was no questions or donations through PayPal to highlight, but there was on Boosty. And let me highlight, if I may, right now. Так. And let's have a chat, by the way. Little chat. Pa-da-pa-pam. Thank you very much, Alexander G, for your donation of $10 or 711 rubles on through Boosty. And Alexander G is asking, when is the next presidential elections in Russia? Anyway, I hope Medvedev is on the ballot. Next election is gonna be. We have 2 years ago there was a presidential elections, isn't it? So I guess next election is gonna be in 2028. Let me Google it. So yes, last presidential elections were in next election is gonna be in 2030, by the way. Next presidential election is gonna be in 2030. A long time from now. A long time. And so, yeah. And when it comes to Medvedev, he's not gonna be on ballots if Putin is on ballot. because they have this tandem, isn't it? And well, I think will be good if younger generation of politicians take over. I think that would be better. That will be a good test for state institutions also, in my opinion. But it again, maybe Putin will go for I mean, he's 72 or 73, right? In 4 years from now, he's gonna be like 70, what, 76? I mean, maybe he will go for yet another presidential elections. Who knows, man? So yeah, if he gonna go for elections, then Medvedev would not be on the ballot, and you know what, Medvedev is making strong statements now, yes, but I'm not quite sure he will act in a way he makes statements. I'm not quite sure about it, really. So, you know, we have to restrain, we have to I don't know how to say, we have to rebuild or restore restraint, right, in the relationship with the collective West. We just have to do it, and whoever does it, by the way, I mean, I don't care, whoever does it, that will be good, because otherwise, if situation continues to deteriorate, and if we continue exercising restraint, which means inviting more and more trouble upon us, eventually that will create much more danger for the humanity than if restraint is restored, even if that means strikes on NATO member states. Because if this nonsense continues that we observe right now, when NATO countries are attacking Russia with impunity, who knows, man? Who knows how longer country itself can withstand that, right? And we have like 6,000 nuclear weapons all over the country. You know what our dream of the Western ruling class is to divide Russia and conquer. And I mean, if we're not gonna retaliate on them, if we're not gonna keep them in check, I mean, that means we are leaving gap there, right? Which might allow them, Western ruling class, to succeed in their dreams, right, of destroying Russia. And who's gonna be in control of these nukes, by the way? It's a miracle that when Soviet Union collapsed, most of the nukes, all the nukes actually end up in Russian hands only. It was a miracle, right? That these nukes did not end up in hands of all sorts of terrorist groups. So if Western ruling class thinks now that they're gonna, they're gonna do with Russia what they did with the Soviet Union, collapse it, destroy it completely, then where is the guarantees that if they succeed, nukes not gonna end up in hands of God knows whom? And if we did not restore restraint, I don't know, man. I don't know how we're gonna survive, really. If we are allowing everybody to strike on us like we are Banana Republic and do anything they want against us, how are we gonna survive? How longer society will be able to like keep composure and keep cool? Really? And how longer state itself, I mean, will be able to withstand this colossal pressure? I don't know, man. I mean, you can check. I don't know the difference if you are monitoring Russian channels, But you can check any Telegram channel where comment section is open. And well, you will see a level of frustration of the people on patriotic channels. I'm talking about, not on some anti-Russian channels, but on patriotic channels. Go through comment sections, man. People are extremely tired, right, and frustrated with what is happening, and no one even tries to explain no more, right, or justify this restraint and what we do. No one even tries because no one freaking understands. Initially, yes, there was an argument that someone has to be adult in a room and this and that. But now, 4 years plus, this argument no longer works because as time goes by, NATO is becoming more and more aggressive. Now they are using their own territory for attacks. And just literally yesterday, by the way, British fighter jets intercepted Russian drones over the Kiev-controlled territory. That's a direct open involvement of the country, even though London then denied these initial claim statements of Romanian Defense Ministry. Nevertheless, I mean, we know what happened, isn't it? It's hardly possible that Romanian Defense Ministry made a false claim. They made this claim and pointed at UK to make sure that Moscow knows what's going on, right? Just in case, Putin finally decided that enough is enough, no more restraint, let's fucking strike back. Romania wanted to know, everyone to know, that it was a British fighter jets that intercepted Russian drones, not the Romanian planes. That's why they made that statement, right? And London's rejection of this statement does not really mean anything. So they are using NATO territory for attacks on Russia. They are introducing now no-fly zone on Russia. Wow, I mean, what is next? What is next, man? Open deployment of NATO troops, I guess, right? And okay, maybe in a week or two, we will see that also. You wouldn't be surprised at all. And probably Moscow will do nothing about it. Despite all the statements that we're going to treat them as legit targets and we're going to retaliate. I mean, plenty of high-ranking officials here in Russia said that, isn't it? If NATO troops are deploying, we will do this and that. They will do nothing. Just saying. They would not authorize Russian militaries to take action. I'm practically have no doubts about it, man. Which is sad, really, really sad. But I mean, yet again, man, maybe maximum what I'm willing to give as a last chance to current government is a couple of weeks. And if we are not retaliating, then I'm never ever gonna take any statement from either Putin or anyone else there seriously. And just like past week, there was a statement, isn't it, from Defense Ministry, from Secretary of Security Council about these drone attacks on Russian Federation from NATO countries, and there was a clear hint that some countermeasures going to be taken potentially. So let's see. Another week or two, if we're not going to do nothing, then there is no way I'm ever going to take their statement seriously. So thank you very much, Alexander G, for your donation and support. Next presidential election is going to be in 2030. And if Putin is on the ballots, then Medvedev not going to be on the ballots, I guess. And even if Medvedev going to be on the ballots, Putin and Medvedev, they are one team, right? They are acting like good cop, bad cop. That's what's up there, I think, and therefore I'm not really convinced that if Medvedev was a Russian president, he would act differently. He makes strong statements now, but he is not a decision maker, right? Putin is. So his strong statements now don't really mean much. Will he act? Would he act differently? I don't know. I'm not convinced, man. Not at all. So thank you very much, Alexander G, for your $10 donation through Boosty. And let me check. There was a. There was a free. Right now, dear friends, there was a from Viper. There was a free gifts of premium subscription to members of our community. And let me highlight these two. Thank you very much, Viper, for your gifts. Gift of a premium subscription, monthly premium subscription to free members of the community. Let me highlight these two. So once again, thank you very much, Viper, for this free monthly premium subscription gifts to members. That's a $15 donation to this project. So thank you very much. Thank you. And I will scroll chat, dear friends. Simultaneously, I will monitor Boosty, Patreon. Maybe we'll have a new member there. I don't know. And super chat, of course, on Rumble. I will monitor that too. I see a question here in chatter. Levan, is there true that the Russian government is slowly being replaced by SMO veterans? Goodbye, oligarchs, sir. Hello, patriots, sir. Putin will have to attack Europe. It's a political inevitability. Well, it's not true that government is replaced, or it's not true that in the government they are veterans of their special military operation. There was no changes in the government, federal government, that is. In the local parliaments, when it comes to local MPs or in different cities, in different regions, yes, there is a process when veterans of the special military operation being promoted there in many areas. They are becoming MPs, officials, even becoming bureaucrats. There is a process in this direction, and I have to say there is a quite a high attention from Moscow, from Kremlin, towards the veterans. Clearly, seems like Kremlin wants to keep veterans happy, sort of, right? Busy, and also Kremlin wants all veterans to understand that their sacrifice, their hardship was appreciated by state, and there is a lot of programs in place, right, for families of the veterans, for veterans themselves. So this is true that they got a lot of attention, for sure. This is true, but this is all on the local scales, right? On a federal scale, there was no change in the government. I don't even remember when last time any minister resigned or any minister was replaced. I can't even remember. It's stable in this regard. And when it comes to second part, that Russia will have to retaliate, and you use the word attack, that Putin will have to attack Europe. No, we don't have to attack nobody. We have to retaliate. There is a big difference, isn't it? There is a unprovoked aggression, and there is a retaliation, legit action, right? And we have every legit rights, every legit reasons to strike back. Because yet again, it's so bad now situation that NATO is using its own territory for attacks on Russia, and NATO fighter jets are intercepting Russian drones. I mean, Next step is next logical step seems to be deployment of open deployment of NATO troops into Kiev controlled territory, and probably that's the direction that situation is moving, right? So we're not gonna we don't have to attack nobody. We have to retaliate, I think, to restore deterrent. Because if deterrent is not restored, then we will be attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked until Russia will collapse. And let's be real here. Any country, any society has its limits of strength, right? And I don't think we have any right to do some experiments where that limit is for us, for citizens of Russian Federation, or where that limit is for Russian Federation. I don't think anybody here in Russia has any right to risk it that much, right? So pressure is increasing, and if I don't know, I mean, if we are not going to retaliate on NATO, then you tell me what is the logical end. They will continue and continue and continue to push and push and push and push, right? So where that leads, in your opinion, for example, we have to restore deterrent. We just have to. It's not about being like a warmonger or something, but if restraint is not restored, then we and the world, humanity, gonna face even bigger challenges in the future, right? So for sake of humanity, we have to restore, for sake of Russia and for sake of humanity, we have to restore deterrent. We cannot allow these globalist controlled terrorist regimes in Europe to act this insane. We just cannot, you know. Dear friends, use capital letters, please, if you have a question or the comment. Alexander G is commenting, Kremlin should take a clear stance on USA, Trump. This is hurting. I'm on same page there. Absolutely. I mean, I don't understand why Kremlin is still acting towards Trump's administration and Trump personally and his envoys, as if these are the people who you can trust and with whom some serious agreements can be reached, which is nonsense, right? We all understand that this cannot be. It just cannot be, right? And it hurts. Obviously, it hurts. I mean, people are laughing, by the way. You should see comments under the recent statements when different Telegram channels, for example, in Russian patriotic segment, by the way, when they shared information about this Peskov statement that Moscow will hope that these contacts with Kushner and Witkov continue. People are laughing, man. People are laughing. People are angry. People are frustrated. It's So I don't know. Something has to change, man. Something has to change, and those people, Putin and his inner circle, they are in power for so long. By the way, they are in power for so long that I'm not quite sure they still are in touch with reality. Because we all understand, isn't it? They see life, real life, through these armored freaking glass windows of their cars, at best, right? Closest. They don't know what real life is. They have no freaking idea. Putin is in the power for how many decades now, right? He knows nothing about how we live, ordinary people here, what we support and what we don't. All his knowledge is based on information that he is getting from his administration. And by the way, I am not quite sure he's getting all the necessary information. Every now and then, Putin makes statements that indicates to me that his knowledge of certain stuff is limited. Otherwise, he would not make those statements that are factually inaccurate. Right? So someone give him that data and he repeated the information that he was given, right? And I mean, every now and then, it happens rarely, by the way. It happens rarely, but I remember I had the programs even. I was highlighting those instances in my programs when he's saying some stuff that is factually inaccurate. But he thinks this is accurate information. So someone give this information to him, right? I mean, latest example, when Russian president said that Kupiansk was liberated, he shared information about progress of Russian forces in Kupiansk area. Number of other high-ranking officials have said the same. Kupiansk is still disputed between the sides. To this moment, Kupiansk is still disputed. So someone tell him that Kupiansk is liberated. Correct? He is not on the front line there. He cannot know. He solely relies on his staff, right? Who provides him with their information. I don't think Putin is monitoring on its own media outlets, right? I really don't think so. It does not look like he is independently monitoring the different sources, right? He should, though. Any leader should actually monitor independently media, social platforms, because that gives you additional information that may be valuable, right? But I don't think he does it. So he solely relies on reports that he's getting. Michael Kennedy is commenting, Putin knows the WEF agenda, no action needed in the short term. I don't know about World Economic Forum and their agenda, but I'm afraid if we don't restore deterrent, I mean, whole world gonna end up in a freaking big trouble, Michael. I really think so, because Western ruling elites, they don't have a brakes, they don't have a reverse gear. They're not gonna stop if we don't stop them. If we don't keep them in check, they're not gonna stop. They're gonna push, and as I said, only so much pressure one can withstand, either country or the society. There is always limits, right? And I'm saying some basic stuff here. I mean, I'm not like, this is just basics, right? And I think we have to restore deterrent to make sure that Western elites not gonna go any more crazier than they already are, right, in their actions. So I think action is needed. Action is needed yesterday. Action was needed 4 years ago, in the very first hour when we launched our special military operation, specific actions. But, you know, watch a woman under, I mean, dear friend on Rumble, please don't repeat same statements, sir, many times over. just to make sure that it's not like trolling and stuff, right? I'm scrolling in the chat, dear friends. If I see, if I see a question directed to me, I will respond. I see comment from Nidisha. Levan, what is Wagner doing in Mali? It's what it was getting overrun by jihadists. Are they still there or left their place to Mali junta control? Well, they are there. Wagnerites are in Mali, and it's not just Wagnerites, but I believe African Corps of, Russian regular army units are there, by the way. African Corps, right? Maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, dear friends, but I believe there are regular troops too, not just Wagnerites. And yes, this one of the northern cities in Mali was overrun by these terrorists, right? Kidal was overrun by terrorists, and reports are that Russian units, Wagnerites, and Malian militaries, regular forces, barricaded themselves in a military base, former UN military base on the southern side of city. And as a result of negotiations, they've been given a corridor to evacuate, allegedly, right? Videos are circulating on internet. I have seen videos, by the way, of evacuation of this convoy. If they're not gonna get ambushed somewhere, because. But yes, Wagnerites are there, and maybe their forces are not enough. I believe in other areas situation was stabilized, and terrorists took heavy losses and were forced to retreat from big settlements, at least. But yes, Kidal is still under control of these terrorists to this moment, and what can I say, man? I'm not quite sure there is any good reasons for us to be there, really. Let the Africans deal with their own issues, man. If they want to fight, it's not our fight, right? If I don't know, man. I'm not a supporter of being involved there all over the world, right? We are not involved all over the world, just in few regions. And I don't think it makes sense. We should be focused on ourselves, right? And immediate neighborhood. That's a strategical interest. That should be the focus. Ourselves and immediate neighborhood, right? That's where we need strategical stability always for security purposes, right? The rest of the world, if we can somehow assist her, good. If not, then yeah, sorry. Why Russian troops? I was not a big supporter of Russian military's presence in Syria. I am still not supporter of that idea. Why we are there? What for? And I'm definitely not a big supporter of our presence in Africa. Military presence, right? Economical investments and cooperation, all good. But, God knows, man. God knows. Yeah, you might argue that, well, Russia pushed France out of the region or helped local governments, right? Local groups to push French colonialist or neo-colonialist regimes to get neutralized there. Partially true, yes. France suffered a significant geopolitical loss in Africa. But I mean, but anyways, man, I think without our presence, locals will fight French anyways, right? It will take another 2 years, maybe a few years more. But I'm not supporter of this our presence, military presence anywhere other than our own territory. Really, that's my take. Let the world live their lives, right? If they want to fight, let them freaking fight, man. Why would I care? Why should I care, man? If African people are want to kill each other in Mali or elsewhere, if their level of intelligence is on that level that they are going after each other and killing each other, then I don't even want to talk to them, man, right? Let them kill each other if that's their level, right? And in many cases, that's exactly those. There are many people that they don't know how to read, how to write. They're freaking illiterate, absolutely illiterate, freaking tribesmen that hate everybody, right? Freaking cannibals. So fuck them all, man. Why should we care? Honestly, that's my take, right? And of course, I'm talking about some specific areas, by the way. I mean, there is of course different countries, different groups. There is a South Africa, and there is also other examples, right? But you know, Levan, Dylan Thomas is commenting. Levan, I think apart from the YouTube algorithm or strangulation of your channel, the reason you have so few Patreon supporters is because you have become slightly the ranger. Vladimir Putin is a hero. Okay, maybe, man. I don't see him as a hero. You know, I never did see him as a hero, actually. I never pretend otherwise, right? I never supported him. And I was very clear on that always, right? When he makes some adopt some policies that I understand, I see as a positive one, I always acknowledge this. I'm objective. I'm not just critical. I'm objective. When I understand something, I understand something. But when I don't, I say so. And after all, I had good school education. I have university education. I worked in the field of journalism for decades, right? So I'm not a dumbest person in this world, right? I'm definitely not a freaking genius, but I'm not the dumbest person in this world, I think. And probably I have a right to have an opinion on something or someone, right? And that's how it is, man. If I understand something, I understand. If I don't, I don't. And I'm honest. I'm always honest, man. That's all I promised ever to community, that I'm going to be real. And that's how it is. Putin is not a hero for me. He might be a hero for you, for many others. Not for me, though. He was a good president. I think he was a okay president during the peace times. For sure, right? Because, I mean, despite all their criticism, that is legit. Under his leadership, Russia jumped from 90s, from one universe, let's say, to another, right? Because 90s, Russia and Russia of 2000s even, right? Or 2010, 15, 20. It's like two different universes, objectively. So he was a good president during the peace times. But when it comes to war times, it's not just me saying that. It's that's how it goes historically. That war times demand a different level of leadership, right? And presidents or the prime ministers, or leaders that are good during the peace times, not always succeeding in war times. And there is numerous evidences of that throughout the history. You know, in Georgia, for example, in 12th century, there was a Lasha Georgi, right, king, and he was a great leader for their nation during the peacetime. He was all about the cultural development, education, and architecture. He was absolutely, I mean, good peacetime leader. He was a son of the Queen of Tamara, legendary Queen of Georgia, who was a granddaughter of the also another legendary king, David the Great. And so Lasha Georgi, and that period was known as a golden era of Georgia, right? And it was the 12th century. I cannot remember now exact date when Mongols arrived, right, in southern Caucasus. Mongols, by the way. And they did not want to occupy Georgia necessarily, right? They didn't even knew what's going on. It was a relatively, by Mongolian standards, it was a relatively small formation of Mongols, right? That came to southern Caucasus. They tried to negotiate with the Lasha Georgi, king of Georgia, passage into northern Caucasus, right? They were more interested to cross southern Caucasus and enter northern Caucasus and then Russian steppe area. And Lasha Georgi said no, right? It was a golden age of Georgia. During the Queen of Tamara, Georgia achieved tremendous war successes, right? Georgia became actually power, a regional power. And at some point, Georgian forces even end up in Baghdad, by the way, just to understand how powerful on this regional scale Georgia became. And Lasha Georgi said no. And he went with his military to fight the Mongols, right? And he was wounded. Georgian troops lost. This was a Mongols just arrived in European, let's say in West Asia, in Middle East, in European parts. They just beginning to arrive, right? And they will stay, by the way, for next 300 to 400 years. This is just the beginning of Mongol invasions, right? So they are on the peak of the power, almost there, right? And unfortunately, Lasha Georgi got wounded during that battle with this relatively small by Mongol standards formation. He died eventually, and Mongols, as a retaliation, occupied the entire country and killed God knows how many people. So you see Lasha Georgi, one that was a good leader for the country during the peace times, had no freaking idea how to be good or military leader for the country, right? And because of his decisions, actions, and inactions simultaneously, Georgia ended up being occupied by Mongols, and this occupation lasted for 300 years. Mongols were occupying Georgia 300 years. So you see, good leader during the peace times, and there is many other examples, by the way, throughout the world history, right? Throughout the history of humanity. Good leader during the peace times not necessarily means that that person going to be good leader during the war times too. I mean, it's just true of life, right? That's how it is. And I might be deranged or something. I might be idiot, Dylan. You know, well, possible. Maybe I'm a freaking idiot. You know, I'm definitely not a genius, though, right? Mm-hmm. I'm scrolling, dear friends, if you're wondering what am I looking at. On this right corner for me is a window on a StreamYard where comments from both YouTube and Rumble chat can be seen as I'm just monitoring. Watch woman on the wall is commenting NATO is useless, and the US needs to dump NATO. US not going to dump NATO. I don't think so. I mean, if US leadership was actually focused on best interests of American people, that's a different story in that case, right? But because US is a tool in hands of globalists and their neocon allies, they're not going to get rid of NATO because NATO is useful tool also, right? US is a tool, NATO is a tool, all these NATO member states, all of them are tools, right? None of those countries are run by people that actually care about their countrymen. Let's be real. I mean, why should one pretend that leadership of UK actually cares about, former leadership of UK actually cares about British people? Why should anybody in UK pretend that Starmer and all the other freaking idiots there actually care about ordinary Brits and their lives? They don't care, man. They might say that they care and they are patriots. They might say it a million times, but policies matter, right? Statements and talk is cheap, man. Policies matter. And when it comes to policies, take a look at the UK. Decline is continuous decline for how many decades now that is happening in UK. That clearly indicates that UK is captured and run by elements that have no freaking care about ordinary Brits. And that's why quality of life is deteriorating. And the UK is not alone. UK, by the way, France, Germany, US on the other side of the ocean. All these major economies in the collective West, in all of those countries, quality of life is dropping and dropping significantly for decades now. If that is not indicator that those countries are captured, politically captured by their globalist neocons and being used as a tool for their geopolitical agendas, then I don't know what else will be good enough explanation of what's going on there. So US not going to withdraw from NATO. You know, Trump was threatening Spain, isn't it? Rumors are now Western media is pushing this narrative that Trump might push Spain out of NATO, which is also nonsense, by the way. It's just too much noise. It's just too much freaking noise that is happening. No one should believe that Spain going to be pushed out of NATO. Only country that might actually get pushed out of that terrorist organization, NATO, is Turkey. And that's because that's what Zionists want. Zionists already made it clear that Turkey is their next target. So that means globalists and their neocons have to push Turkey out of NATO to make it easier for Zionists to deal with Turkey. Correct? And so only country right now that is actually on the path to be pushed out of this terrorist organization, NATO, is Turkey. That's it. Everything else is just noise, man. Everything else is just noise. I mean, yet again, Watch Woman on the wall is also saying Putin is a great president. Yet again, we might agree to disagree. I don't think he is a great president. I just don't. You know, I'm not going to vote for him. I did not vote for him last time. I think differently. And it's all good. You know, I acknowledge all their, and I have said it always, right? That under his leadership, despite the many things that one can be critical of, it is factual that under his leadership, Russia made a huge jump from 90s era, right, when everything was in decline, to modern era, right? Tremendous success for sure. So that's why I'm saying he was a okay president for Russia, I think, for peacetime. But last 4 years, since the beginning of special military operation, well, I would not say he is a good president for Russia. I don't understand what he's doing. And I think because of the restraint policies that Putin is exercising, we are inviting upon us more and more trouble from the West, because West feels like they can do against us or anything they want with impunity. And why would not they think so? I mean, you tell me, why would not Western elites think that they can do literally anything against Russia and never pay price for that? Because they are committing act of war on act of war, act of war on act of war against Russian Federation, and their maximum what Moscow did until now, at least, is some statements. Statements. I mean, really? Yeah. Work loud by ANNG is commenting, Levan, UK is and was always your enemy. Stop dreaming. What am I dreaming? I'm saying that UK is the enemy of Russia, right? And the Russian people. Not the British people, by the way. I'm talking about state, UK, not the Brits, right? Among Brits, of course, majority probably already are indoctrinated in Russia hate so much so that probably they hate us. If you ask why, probably they will struggle to understand, to give you a proper answer. But nevertheless, ordinary people is ordinary people. They are not combatants, right? So I have no issues with ordinary people anywhere, really. But UK is our enemy for sure, man. And I never said otherwise. So I don't get that last part of your comment, stop dreaming. I'm not dreaming, man. I never said UK is our strategical ally or friend or anything. UK is enemy, of course, of ours. 100%. Which is sad, man, but that's the truth. And it's not just our enemy, it's a leading force, British ruling class. And UK itself, under the control of this class, is a leading force in this proxy war against Russia. So let me check. Nitish Kumar is commenting, Levan, I think they are claiming a cleaning out loose ends. They may blame China for death of scientists. China. Nitish. Nitish is commenting about these strange stories that are developing in US when a lot of scientists been disappearing and find dead. They're gonna blame China? I mean, they can blame anybody they want, of course. I mean, they can make any kind of statements, but China, who gonna buy this? I think those militaries and scientists, they were engaged in some. They had some access to either top secret program, military program, linked to some aerial vehicles, most likely, right? And there were also part of those people were engaged in actual work, probably on their technology, one way or another, and that other part was engaged in a deception operation to divert attention of the public towards aliens and so on. And now the loose ends being cut off by CIA or whichever other terrorist organization in US is behind these killings. But to blame China for that, I don't know. They can, but makes no sense really. Makes no sense. You know, I wonder what kind of technologies they were working on. One of the disappeared persons, I believe, was mentioning some anti-gravity, some technology. I don't know if what that even is or how it works. I'm not a physicist, obviously. Um, but yes, I mean, it could be anything, really. It could be anything. Um, but it definitely has nothing to do with aliens. And you know what kind of is deceptions being pushed around, isn't it? That there is Area 51 where alien craft is located, and there are aliens also. I mean, real aliens in detention, and they being questioned. And they're, come on, man, aliens in detention. Can you imagine that? That humans detained aliens that have technology of interstellar flight, and they're, oh, come on, man, they can obliterate. I mean, that kind of civilization can obliterate the entire Earth, like you know, in days, maybe even less than that. And somehow we are detaining aliens, and that civilization is unable to free their kind. Nonsense, man. It's so much nonsense is moving, spread around, isn't it, about aliens? And they are covering up all sorts of dodgy classified um, programs with this topic of aliens, right? Yet again, I'm not an alien skeptic or something. I'm 100% convinced somewhere uh, 10,000 light years away from us, or 100 light years away from us, or whatever. Of course, there are some alien civilizations, must be hundreds of them, thousands of them, right? But we are not that interesting, man. We as a human civilization are not that interesting to keep attention of those aliens, and they are flying around, and really, why would they spend time on us? Levan, how did your fishing trip go? Did you enjoy it? It is. What fishing trip? I was never on a fishing trip. Maybe my English is that bad that I said something that it sounded like I'm gonna go for a fishing or something. No, man, I'm not a fisherman. I don't like no fishing and stuff. Of course, uh, I went like dozen of times for fishing because first and foremost because my cousin used to love their fishing, and whenever he goes for fishing, we would go through. But me personally, I'm not a hunter, not fisherman. Uh, you know, for me, to chill, right? To spend time pleasantly is to go for a walk. I love to walk around, right? And I can walk on the bank of the river, for example, for hours. for hours on end, right? That's my stuff. By the way, I can go for a walk, and the walk literally hours, 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 hours on end. And even though physically it is demanding, once you get home, you really are tired, right? But for whatever reason, psychologically, it's very, very calming. I mean, it's a good rest to me. I know some other people prefer fishing, some other people prefer to hunt on different animals with rifles and stuff. But yeah, I'm not. I was expecting guest on Friday, and guest came. My cousin, actually. Двоюродная сестра. How it's in English? My cousin visited us. We had a good chat, good conversation, and no, we had a good time. And tomorrow I just took day off. Saturday, yesterday I was at home all day, right? And I was chilling. I watched the entire series of 22 series of that TV show, older one, but nevertheless, oh goodness me, man, Event. Have you seen that TV show, dear friends? Event. It's a relatively older TV show, and I watched 22 freaking series of their episodes of that show. There was only one season, and then it was closed. They did not prolong it. Although I was watching like с перемотками. Every now and then I was just pushing forwarder for 10-15 minutes. So that's how I managed to watch yesterday entire 22 episodes while just you know. So that's how it is. I was not on fishing. Maybe you hear on some other channel anything about fishing, and no, maybe you just confuse me with someone else. And by the way, that event, that series, that TV show is exactly about aliens. We spoke about aliens and that kind of stuff. Aliens that are humans, actually. Oh, I'm not gonna give you spoilers in case you want to watch that event TV show. I guess that's about it, dear friends. Mickey's commenting EU and NATO have treated him badly. He understands there is no further future for Russia in that direction. You mean no future for Russia in the direction of EU and NATO? Of course, there is no. It's not a direction for us. Moscow was very proactive to build a good relationship with Europeans, right? With European elites, with Western elites, but Russian elites was never treated as with respect. They were never treated as equal, right? And Russia was never treated with respect. And eventually, this attitude of the West, of course, pushed the relationships towards the place where we are right now. And I don't think Western elites are actually capable of communicating with anybody with actual respect. They don't know what respect is, man. Which woman on the wall is commenting Trump and Putin must join forces, and we do have a lot in common. We, as ordinary people, people in Russia, people in US, we definitely have a lot in common. We are different, but same time quite. There's many similarities, of course, but um, I mean, Putin tried, isn't it? Putin and his inner circle, his people, they did try to build some bridges with the current US administration. It just did not work. It didn't work because Trump is not operating, in my personal opinion, Trump is not operating as an independent actor. He is heavily compromised and he is acting under the orders of Western ruling class. He's compromised by Zionists, and Zionists are pushing him around um, to fulfill their own interests, which is to reach this greater Israel, to succeed in greater Israel project. And he's been manipulated also for sake of Western ruling class, globalists and the neocons that are dreaming about global domination, right, over the world, to cement the global domination and simultaneously to destroy Russia and China, because as long as Russia and China exist, there can be no unchallenged domination of the Western ruling class, right? And that's why U.S. been drawn into this war in the Middle East on behalf of globalists, neocons, their agenda, and also on behalf of Zionists, because they also have their agenda. Zionists and the Western ruling class, globalist neocons, they're situational allies, right? So Moscow tried to build some bridges with their new US administration. It just did not work, and it could not work. It just could not work because Trump was never truly independent actor. And it shows, man. It shows. I mean, and there, as time goes by, probably age and there are many other things having a massive impact on Trump, his state, his mental state, and yeah, he's becoming, I don't know, man. Take a look at the posts that he writes. I mean, it does not look like this is someone with sanity. He is threatening to kill 90 plus million people like that, to exterminate entire civilizations and their stuff. He launched a war for what? Why he started this war? It's crazy. And how many people already died? How many innocent, absolutely innocent people died because of these criminal actions of Trump and his inner circle? So we should not have good relationships with mass murderers and war criminals. We should have a high moral ground, right? We should have principles, high moral grounds and expectations from others too. And therefore, I am now against normalization of the relationships with Washington. I'm against it, really. Washington is led by mass murderers. And why would I want Moscow to have a good relationship with those mass murderers? I don't want it, right? And that's the reason why I want Russia to cut diplomatic ties with Israel. It's a shame that we still have diplomatic relationships with Israel, with this fascist entity. It's a shame. It's humiliating. That's where I stand, man. I don't want to have no good relationships with mass murderers and genocidal maniacs, man. Fuck them all, really. That's what I will say. On early stages, when Trump became president, before he went to commit just numerous war crimes and crimes against humanity, well, if relationships would become better, would be good. But now, I don't want Russian leadership to waste even a single second talking to those nobodies, man. Trump, Witkov, Kushner, who are they, man? These prostitutes of Zionists, man, and the globalists and neocons. Come on. I mean, I feel sorry for everybody in US who still thinks that Trump is an independent actor. Man. He is not. What else have to happen? What else he have to do to everyone to understand that he is a totally fake person? He went against every promise that he made. He promised no more wars. He launched wars. He bombed in single year. He bombed like I don't know how many countries already US bombed, man. Like 6, 7 countries. What the hell? And Trump launched war against Iran twice already. Also, Nidish is commenting, Leman, will European countries oppose USA from dumping NATO, or if Spain wants to part ways, will European leaders allow it? No, not happening, Nidish. I don't take even for a second seriously all this BS propaganda from the Western so-called media that US is gonna withdraw from NATO or Washington gonna push Spain now out of NATO. None of it is happening. None of it is real. None of it. It's just noise. Only country that can and most likely will be pushed out of NATO is Turkey. And even then, that's because Zionists already openly are saying that Turkey is next target for them, right? And because the Zionists are useful situational allies for their globalists and the neocons, of course, they will, in order to keep Zionists happy, they will push Turkey out of NATO easy, right? After all, we should keep in mind that is only more or less only country with which Turkish political class has more or less okay relationships. It's UK. That's why Turkey is being seen by many as a British proxy. Historically, Turkish political class is closely tied with the British political class, right? British ruling class. But Zionists are much more important for British ruling class than Turkey ever was or will be. So therefore, London not going to have an issue with their pushing out Turkey, and the other countries in Europe, they're going to be absolutely for that because they hate Turkey. Germany hates Turkey, France hates Turkey. Greece is whole different. There was a war between Greece and Turkey, so they of course will be all in support of Turkey being pushed out, right? And so yes, that's what I think. Turkey gonna be kicked out, but rest no. And US gonna be. We should keep in mind in 7 months' time, less than 7 months now, isn't it? They're gonna be midterm, and we're gonna see significant change in Washington's behavior. We all know that in reality there is the same groups that pulling the strings, isn't it? But if now Washington behaves in extreme ways, because that was the plan, right? In 7 months from now, Western ruling class will begin changing. Trump will become lame duck, absolutely, and they will move Washington in less radical ways, right? It's only 7 months left now, and that's it. And US will become somewhat similar to what Biden's administration was. And no one would care what Trump is writing or not. So US not gonna go anywhere from NATO, and Spain not gonna go anywhere from NATO. Of course not. Turkey will be kicked out. And eventually, I think Turkey might end up in a multi-front, in multiple wars simultaneously, not just with Israel, but also with the Greece and France and Italy gonna support Greece. It's gonna be big mess, and I don't think Turkey will survive as a state in the current form. I think Turkey is destined to undergo certain disintegration. 10, 15 years max, and that's it. Maybe even less than that, significantly less than that. Oh, really? Maybe she's commenting. A lot of Chinese scientists died in last few months as well. Maybe they are secretly hitting each other. Really, I don't know. I'm only hearing from you right now about Chinese scientists being killed or disappeared and stuff like that. But I mean, they are going after each other's scientists. I mean, possible, theoretically possible, of course, but I don't know. I mean, yet again, when you don't know, you don't know. There is factual information that dozen also scientists in US either been found dead or disappeared. That's a factual, right? All of them were working, or all of them are linked to some secret classified topics. Also factual, at least that's the reports, right? And that's all we know. The rest is speculations, and I don't know. Maybe Chinese and American intelligence services really are hunting each other's scientists. But that's too risky, isn't it? That's just too risky to go after each other's scientists this openly when dozens of them being killed or disappeared. I think it's a US inside job. I think, I don't know what's going on in China. In China, people also can disappear. Chinese secret service is also doing whatever they do. But in case of US, I think this bunch of people, they were working on certain programs. Maybe they know something that they should not, right? And therefore, they've been silenced by CIA or some private military company that get contract on their heads. I think it's a US inside job. I don't think Chinese are, hunting them. Although, who knows, man? Who knows what's going on in reality, isn't it? And that's about it, dear friends. That's about it. We had a good community chat, I will say. 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes almost. Thank you all. Thank you all for your time, for your attention. Alexander G and Viper, thank you very much for your donation and for gift of premium monthly premium subscription. Many thanks to everybody who supported and continues to support my work. Have a wonderful day, dear friends, and see you tomorrow. Bye for now.